let's talk about creating space for asking questions without feeling guilty, right? Because it kind of ties into the thought of like, well, I can get the answer anywhere. And then we feel guilty if we don't know the answer, so then we'll look for it anywhere.
I don't know why we would ever feel guilty about staying curious. Perhaps if you grew up in an environment where it was frowned upon to ask questions because then that means you were doubting. Maybe that plays into that. Like,
or you weren't given space to do it.
You weren't given space to do that. I feel like the Bible is full of questions. I feel like Jesus asked questions.
100%.
Most of the time
I actually just looked this up the other, like a few weeks ago. I think roughly Jesus asked like 70 to 80 questions, but he himself asks like 360 questions.
That's correct.
Which is crazy.
And he responds to, he directly answers just a handful of those 70 questions that are asked to him.
Exactly.
So it's like constantly stirring up conversation.
Exactly.
All right, guys, welcome back. This is our final episode
That's crazy.
of season 2. We're glad that you have joined us
Yeah.
on this journey. It's not over.
It's definitely not over. It almost feels like we're just getting started. So why don't we just get started?
Let's just get started.
All right. Well, we are back with a guest who has been on for the last few episodes. I'd like seriously sitting down and talking to you is just it's so good. So thank you for spending a few episodes with us. And so you're wrapping up our season.
Yes, let's
You
go.
are. And so, okay, before we get into like a little bit of like a banter, like we're going to hang out for a little bit moment. Just remind everybody who you are, what you do, all
Maybe
those things.
first
Give us
time-
your accolades
First time
again.
viewers.
Accolades,
Yes.
okay. Well, I'm Kristel Acevedo, a daughter of God, first and foremost.
Amen.
A wife and a mom. I'm the discipleship director at my church, Transformation Church in South Carolina. I'm an author, and I'm friends with these guys.
Oh, we made it on the accolades list. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this was your first time in Vegas in close to 8 years. We talked about. You've had Dutch Bros. You've had Canes. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's, first of all, Dutch Bros, wow.
Yeah.
That needs to be all across the nation. Okay, we need Dutch Bros. Okay,
I stand on the other side of this fence. You're
Yeah.
not going to convince me. That does not need to be in the whole
I'll
US.
join you in this.
Okay,
pushing
thank
it
you.
forward.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Raising Cane's also delicious. Loved it. So yeah.
Okay, but you're not like a Chick-fil-A person.
I'm not a Chick-fil-A person. It's fine. It's just since I didn't grow up with it, I'm not a Chick-fil-A apologist.
Yeah.
Like
I
most
hear
of
you.
my southern friends.
Yeah,
yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, being from South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A is over there is a thing. Okay, we're going to play a quick Would You Rather.
Okay.
I know we already had you on for 2 episodes, but it's okay. This is our time to get to know you. So here we go. Rapid fire.
Okay.
It's only you. We're not answering.
Oh, okay.
This is
Great.
We
only
can
you.
answer too.
I guess we could if you wanted
we'll
us
answer.
to. All right. Would you rather travel to the past or the future?
Ooh.
I think I'd rather travel to the past
Ooh, okay.
because I'd like to relive things. My memory isn't great.
If you can only
Yeah,
pick
yeah.
one time period, either in your life or before,
that's a good
when
one.
would you travel in
Okay.
the past?
Well, in that case, I want to travel before.
Before you
I
were?
think I would. Yeah, before I was ever born, I have always, since I was a little girl, been fascinated by the 1960s.
Oh, I
so
love
I want to
that.
I feel like I would have been a hippie. I don't know. I just
Yeah,
think I
yeah,
would have been.
yeah.
So
I
I'd like to
can see it, yeah.
experience
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
Oh, I have to answer?
Past or future?
Okay, I'm the future one. I want to go where I'm not going to be able to go. And I guess go back to where I can't ever be either, but like the 60s, right?
Yeah,
And wouldn't have been
right.
born there. But I would definitely want to be the future. I just want to know if we're flying cars in the air. Like, all I want to know is do we make
According
it
to
there?
Back to the Future, we should have had those
We
by
should
now.
have.
At
So,
100%, you know?
And the,
But hey,
what
if
is it?
Simpsons hasn't
The
said it.
Jetsons?
Or the,
Oh, yeah, the
the
Jetsons.
Jetsons.
Yeah, like all those cartoon shows. Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather walk on water like Jesus or turn water into wine?
I think I'd rather walk on water.
Walk
that
on
just
water.
seems cooler.
Yeah. I don't know though. Like you could be when you're of age and you're at a wedding and celebrating, being the one that can make water into a wine at a wedding, man, you're it. Yeah, I'd rather walk on water.
Yeah.
I like hands down. I think that'd be so sick. I would also hope that the sea below me turns into glass and I can see all the animals
That
just
is
staring
cool.
up at me in amazement.
What is happening?
And they can attack you. That's what you're more concerned
No,
about.
they wouldn't attack me. I'm walking on water. I have power.
Clearly.
Clearly, the sharks bow at that command that the Lord.
Okay.
Yeah, he moves. But
Yeah.
okay. All right. Would you rather give up social media or eat the same dinner for the rest of your life?
So you either give up social media for the rest of life or eat the same dinner every single day for the rest of your life.
I would rather eat the same dinner.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I know. I don't want to give up social media.
Okay, I think it would be right now. I have an obsession with Korean food.
Ooh.
So what's good about that is that there's a variety because they got all kinds of different meats and vegetables, and so I feel like it would be Korean food
Okay.
for the rest of my life. I'm okay with that.
I'm with you. I can't give up social media.
Nah, I'd give social
Yeah, you're good. We talked about this in the last episode.
I'd give it up.
Yeah, one more before we get in.
All right.
Would you rather be stuck in the belly of a whale for 3 days, like Jonah, or spend 40 days in the desert? 40 years. Sorry. Is
40
it
years or days?
It says 40 days. Let's just go with that.
Yeah,
It's
Jesus,
not supposed to
Jesus
be.
did 40 days.
Yeah. There it is. 40 days in the desert like Jesus.
I think I'd rather do 40 days in the desert.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to be inside a whale. It probably stinks so bad.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want no part of that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'd rather be in the desert. We live in the desert, so like I feel like I'm already doing this
You're
thing.
doing it.
What would
You're
you
fine.
do? You would go in the whale, wouldn't you? I feel like
I'd
you're
think
so
about
intrigued. Yeah, you're
I'd
so
think
intrigued.
about it. Just for fun, I'd say, I'll go in the whale.
Yeah, see, you go in the whale.
All right.
Why not?
Tell us how it goes.
I'll let you know.
No, we're going to be in the desert hanging out. All right, well, we're going to dive into today's topic. And so, yeah, let's get started. All right, well, we are sitting down today and we're talking about staying curious. And I think this is a perfect way to end a season of a show because we've given you a lot of things to think about, probably a lot of things to talk about that we've talked about. And staying curious is at the core of it all. And so in the book, which I've mentioned for the last few episodes, that you wrote 3 questions that shape your future. This is all about questions, all about staying curious, all about asking questions that lead you towards God, ultimately, lead you towards who He created you to be and the identity He's given you. And so really, really, really excited to dive in to this conversation.
So let's start with just the idea. How do you stay curious?
Yeah. I think to be curious, you need to be humble, right? It takes humility to admit that you don't know everything.
Yeah.
And so it kind of has to start there. You have to realize that you don't know everything. And then look at a world in a way that you want to know more about it and not with fear. I think curiosity is really anti-fear because a lot of times when we are fearful of something, we hold it at arm's length and we want to almost like look away. But when we're curious, we engage, we look, we want to know more. So I think humility and anti-fear plays into staying curious.
Well, especially in a world where like we don't like admitting that we don't know the answer. It's harder to not know something in today's day and age, and especially when you can just open up ChatGPT and you can get an answer to anything. Doesn't mean it's the right answer. Doesn't mean it's the biblical answer. But you can get an answer to almost anything. Actually, you can get an answer to everything with ChatGPT. Like, so staying curious in your faith, ChatGPT can't give you those answers. Like, so when you're staying curious, you are staying a learner and a disciple of Jesus.
That's right.
Which we're called to be disciples of Jesus. We're called to be learners of Jesus. And that takes staying curious. That takes asking questions again and again and again. Let's talk about creating space for asking questions without feeling guilty, right? Because it kind of ties into the thought of like, well, I can get the answer anywhere. And then we feel guilty if we don't know the answer, so then we'll look for it anywhere. So staying curious without being guilty, talk about that.
Yeah. I don't know why we would ever feel guilty about staying curious. Perhaps if you grew up in an environment where it was frowned upon to ask questions because then that means you were doubting. Maybe that is that plays into that, like,
or you weren't given space to do it.
You weren't given space to do that, and so I would really just. I feel like the Bible is full of questions. I feel like Jesus asked questions.
100%.
Most of the time,
I actually just looked this up the other like a few weeks ago. I think roughly Jesus is asked like 70 to 80 questions. But he himself asks like 360 questions.
That's correct.
Which is crazy.
And he responds to, he directly answers just a handful of those 70 questions that are asked to him.
Exactly.
So it's like constantly stirring up conversation.
Exactly.
And asking questions. So.
Yeah, like if Jesus isn't afraid of questions and doesn't feel any sort of fear around it or guilt around it, why should we?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that goes back to being learners and staying humble enough to realize that like we will never arrive like at that level of knowing it all.
Right.
It's not our job either. It is not our job to be all knowing and all powerful and all present. That's not our job. That's God's job. And so when we stay curious, we stay a disciple, we stay a learner, we stay faithful to being his and submitting to him and following him.
That's
and
good.
it's not about us. So then when we realize that, we don't walk around feeling guilty for not knowing it all. Like there's such a pressure of performance. And I mean, we were just talking about this when we were eating lunch today, but I was a straight A student and would cry when I got a B. I like got 0.5
That
away.
one time.
That one time I was 0.5% lower than an A, and I begged my teacher to let me bring it up, and they did. But like I was a perfectionist, and so there's this pressure to perform. There's this pressure to know everything in our society, which creates this guilt, I think, that I don't know everything. And then that creates an anxiety of like, well, I don't know it, so I'm not good enough. I don't know it, so I don't know enough. I don't know it, so I'm not going to get that. I'm not going to get into that college. Or I'm not going to get that job. Or I'm not going to get that promotion. Or that group isn't going to accept me. Like all of that comes with it. And I think that's a real place. Like, and I think that makes us not want to be curious.
Right.
It makes us just want to have the answers.
Well, and you said earlier that God is all-knowing, and he's the only one that is all-knowing.
Yep.
And so when you boil it down, it's idolatry for us to believe that we should also be all-knowing.
really
Like
good.
we're putting ourselves in the place of God.
Yeah.
And that's his place, not ours.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. Just being learners, being disciples.
And like what you were saying, like there's a stigma like around the idea of learning. We equate it to school and performance driven. And so when we're thinking of learning or becoming disciples or wanting to learn about God, we feel like we have to also perform and meet a certain level, or feel like we're being graded. Like, I don't know this, I'm failing.
Yeah. I'm failing
And
God.
so
That's a real place.
and so
too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like your relationship with God and learning, you have to drop that idea that like you're not failing. God doesn't see us as failures.
Right.
He doesn't see us as, someone who can't get there. We're constantly evolving, we're constantly learning, and we have to keep doing that.
Yeah, he doesn't grade us. Like he doesn't
No.
put us on a grade scale like school
No.
does and stuff like that. Like there's not like A through F. Like it just doesn't exist in
There's
God's
just
world.
love.
Yeah, there's just love and there's just grace and there's
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, and we're all different types of learners. So I think if we put ourselves
good.
in a position of like, this is school, and not everyone has a good time with school. School
Yeah.
is not, traditional schooling is not for everyone.
Yeah.
And so for me, yes, I love books. I love reading. I could sit and listen to a lecture and take notes.
Yeah.
My husband is a completely different type of learner. He is very visual and he learns by doing.
Yeah.
And so he can't just sit there and listen to someone give him instructions. He has to like get in there and do it with his hands.
Yeah.
And so if he tried to be the kind of learner that I am, he would be very frustrated. And if I
Yes.
tried to be the kind of learner he is, I would be very frustrated. So what does it look like to be curious, knowing your specific learning style
That's so good.
and not trying to fit into a mold that someone else created?
That's exactly how we are.
We're the exact same way.
We're-
I would be so frustrated, but it makes sense for how God wired us, and I'm the same way as you. Like I'm an avid reader, and I can learn in that way. I can take like notes on podcasts or sermons or whatever I'm listening to. Even just studying the Bible is like my favorite thing, and he is such a doer. But I also think that like that is staying curious too,
Yeah.
because like when you're curious and you want to figure something out, you either are going to go look up something online and learn it like we do, or
Yep.
watch a sermon or
YouTube
read your Bible,
University.
YouTube University. Or you're going to go be YouTube University
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
going to do and figure it out yourself. That's staying curious. And if we stay curious even in our practical life, like our practical day to day, we have to stay curious in our faith. We have to constantly be pursuing like the answers to life's great problems through the lens of faith. And so I think of students that might be watching that are like, well, I have been asking the same question. I'm asking it over and over and I'm not getting the answers. How do I stay curious with my doubt, like when I'm doubting?
Yeah. Well, what would it look like to ask a different question or see it from a different lens or a different perspective? Maybe the answer you're looking for is not the answer God has for you in that moment.
It's really good.
Because I believe that God ordains the time and place where he reveals things to us as well. And maybe that's not for you right now, but there's something else he's trying to teach you. Because here's the other thing. We're never going to know it all. And that's the truth of it. God is inexhaustible.
Yeah.
He's inexhaustible. We'll never know everything for sure. And so it's okay to sit in the tension. Sometimes maybe God leaves questions unanswered because he wants us to sit in the tension of not knowing and just trusting.
Yep. Well, imagine how, like, life wouldn't be fun if we did know it all. Like, it just wouldn't be fun.
Boring.
It would be so boring. There wouldn't be a need for trusting in God.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be a need for faith. There wouldn't even be a need for staying curious. If we knew it all, we wouldn't have that need. And life would be lame. Life would be so lame. Like, to be the know-it-all.
Ugh.
Like, how lame.
No one likes that.
No one likes that, okay? So don't be the know-it-all, you know? But I say this all the time. I'm like, oh, he's Mr. Google. Because Billy if he doesn't know it, he's always wanting to know it, and he's learning.
Yeah.
And I admire that so much, because there's
It's
times
got
where
its
I'm like...
pros and its cons.
And it does. But there are times when I'm like, I don't know the answer to this, but I always know Billy will either have it or he'll help me figure it out.
Yep.
And I think there's value in that.
Yeah.
But again, to the first point of, like, knowing when to say, I don't know the answer. Let's discover that together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that we say with the youth students all the time. When they'll ask a question, it's like, I actually don't know that answer. Let's study that together.
Or even sometimes I don't know the answer and I don't think I'm going to know the answer.
Yeah.
And that's okay too.
And we don't have to know every single answer.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you feel like you have a question and it doesn't get answered, then you get discouraged. And so a lot of times you stop asking questions. And it's okay to not have every question answered. It's okay to not understand everything that you see or experience in life. It's not meant for us to know everything, to be on that level that God is. And so, but the thing is, we are constantly called to, you know, keep changing our mindset and renewing our mind.
That's
And
good.
so each and every single day we have to choose to allow our minds to be renewed and not get complacent in what we do know and feel
So
like I'm good, I know it all, I know enough already. I feel like over the generations, like the idea of like I know, like that idea, I know. Like, people try to tell you something, I already know.
Yeah.
My kid's
Oh
favorite
my gosh,
response.
my kids.
Yeah, like, Mom, I
Yeah.
know.
Or like, hey, put the dishes away. Yeah, I know, Mom. Well, if you knew, you'd be doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's equate some words with action here.
Yeah, and so there needs to be that mindset change of
Yeah.
not just constantly being met with I know, but like a thank you, or just allowing yourself to absorb, even though. And something, I forget where I saw it or read it, like some of the like best people when it came to learning and growing, even when they were in a room and they were the smartest people in the room, they never let that be the thing that they led with.
Yes.
So allowing other
Wow.
people to
Teach
grow and shine, even though they know they could have
That's so good.
shared or done
Yeah.
the same
That's
thing
good.
better.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
don't feel like you have to be the best. Don't feel like you have to, you know, try to outshine
Yeah.
everyone else. We all have
Yeah.
a space to grow, and sometimes we have to let other people step up
Yeah.
and grow and learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the goal of being curious is not to know it all or not to like be the smartest person in the room or any of that. I think the goal is what you said, Romans 12:1-2, be transformed by the
Yeah.
renewing of your mind, but then also glorifying God in it.
Yep. Yep.
And it's not about being a jerk or knowing everything, but it's about, glorifying God. And how is your relationship with God transforming you? It's not
Yeah.
about information, it's about transformation.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's why
so good.
curiosity is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it has become a lost skill because everybody does want to be the smartest in the room. Everybody wants to be the best at their skill, their sport, their school, their reading goals or their fitness goals or whatever. Like, we've become such a culture of being the best that we forgot that it's not about that. It's not about, like, everything in life is not a competition. Everything in life, like, it is okay to not be the best.
Yeah.
There's always going to be someone that will do it better
Yep.
or
Always.
have more knowledge than you, and
Yeah.
we get so caught up in wanting to outdo the next person.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
But
like,
really, it's like, what's God doing in you?
yeah,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And I love like the what you had said about like the people that were the smartest in the room making way. I think that is something that we don't do well as a society. We want to be the smartest, but we don't make way for even the younger generations to teach us things. Like, I don't know the slang. I don't know the TikTok things and the trends and why I don't understand it. They do.
Yes.
And I'm going to let them teach me.
Yep.
Why? Because they get it. They
Yep.
do have an understanding I don't have. And it doesn't matter if they are a decade younger than me, 2 decades younger than me, they can still teach me something.
Absolutely.
On the other side, the older generations as well. Like they can still teach us. They can, like, there's just this beauty of understanding that you don't need to be the most experienced, the most skilled, the oldest in the room to have the information.
Yeah. And you look at
Stay curious.
you look at Jesus when he walked, he could have done everything himself.
Oh, yeah.
He
Yep.
could have, allowed himself
good.
just to be the best. Because he was.
He was.
Sinless. He was perfect.
Right.
Yeah. He's the only one.
Yeah. But he allowed his disciples and he gave them freedom to learn, to do
Yes.
things, and to be curious in their faith
Wow.
of him. And so we have to be at that place too where we don't have to strive to be perfect. We're not going to be.
Right. Yeah.
But allowing ourselves to continue to grow and learn and
Yeah.
be curious.
That is so good.
And I think
Yeah.
that's why he asked so many questions, because he could have given the answers.
Yeah,
like he
right.
had every answer. He was all knowing. He had every single answer that he could have given to any question he was asked. Yet he chose in great humility to be like, hey, I want you to learn that. I want you
Yes.
to discover that. Like,
Yes.
and that's the other part. That could be a whole other conversation. Like, we don't actually need to give the answers, even if we have them. Sometimes it is
100%.
better for us to let people stay curious on their own and discover it between them and God, discover it on their own journey and their own experience as they walk life, than it is for us to just shout wisdom at them. If they're asking for it, that's one thing. If it's something that we know will help them stay on the path, that's another thing. But if it'll help them in the long run for them to figure it out, that's what Jesus did with the disciples.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's,
why he asked questions.
yeah, it's in the wrestling
Yeah.
that it sticks more. It
Yeah.
means more to you when you wrestle
100%.
with it yourself.
Yeah, you come to the terms on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Well, thank you so much for the conversations. It's been so good to just end the season with you and have you on for a few episodes. And I just want to remind everybody, because I am excited, and I'm going to say it because it's happening. Next May, you have another book coming out.
Yes.
Super excited. Tell us about that for a couple seconds. And then, yeah.
So it's a Bible study, a 6-week study called Away in the Wilderness, Meeting God in the Desolate Places of Scripture. And so I went through a long wilderness period in my life, and I wrestled with God, and
Yep.
I thought that it was a waste, but then I realized when I read Luke 1:80, talks about John the Baptist was in the desert, in the wilderness, and he was spiritually strong.
Come
and
on.
I wanted to be spiritually strong too.
Yeah.
So I went through a journey of discovering what that means, and the Lord did a work in me, talking
Yeah.
about transformation,
Yeah.
and now I get to share that through this Bible study
Yeah.
with others.
That's so good. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Guys, grab her other book, 3 Big Questions That Shape Your Future, and get ready for that other one coming out in May. We'll have all of her Instagram stuff on the screens like we do every episode. Make sure you guys go follow her, DM her if you have questions, things like that. But yeah, it's been a good season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. All right, we have another game, another fun game.
We love our games.
We love our games. and
We are game people.
We are game people. If you come to our
Yes.
house, we have a whole closet full of board games. And so
Yes.
one of the games that we got recently is from Christians Like, which they have some really cool games for families that they are Christian, they're faith-based. This one's
Yeah.
going to feel a little bit judgy, but it's okay. It literally says on the back, it's
On the
okay.
yeah, it's
it's
on the
okay to
front.
judge your friends. Yeah, it's on the front. It's okay to judge your friends. So we're gonna play Cast the First Stone. So basically, we each are a stone.
We each have a number, 1 or 2.
I can be 2. I like even
Okay,
numbers.
I'll be 1.
I'll be 2. You be 1. Okay.
I'm
So
1.
you're 1. I'm 2.
Okay.
And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna read a prompt, and then we're gonna answer off the 2 of us who we think this prompt most applies to.
Yes.
Now, remember, it's okay to judge your friends. It's okay for us to judge each other.
Yeah. No hard feelings.
No hard feelings.
Okay.
Okay. Who is most likely to get engaged after 3 months of dating?
Ooh. Okay. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3.
Did you say me too?
Yep. Number 2.
Yeah, hands down, hands
yeah,
down. That
yeah.
would have been me. We didn't date for 3 months though. We dated for a year before I said yes to you. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
All right. We're all youth pastors, which is true.
We are all youth pastors. That is true. Okay, so go ahead.
Who would get fired first?
Well, it depends. What are they getting fired
I
for?
don't know. Who would get fired first?
Okay.
Ready?
1, 2, 3. What'd you say?
1.
Why would
Yep.
you get fired?
You know, I would do something dumb probably.
You would break something.
Yes.
Not something immoral, but something dumb.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. Who has the most theology? I feel like this one's mean. I feel bad.
Sorry.
Okay. Are you
Okay.
going to put me? All right, 1, 2, 3. I put you.
Of course you did.
Well, I didn't want to put myself. You know,
That's fine.
maybe I should.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Who needs their friends to vouch for their great personality in order for them to get a date? So who needs a good wingman or wingwoman to help them get a date, essentially, is what that means.
Oh, that's mean. Okay, I have my reasoning
All
for
right,
this.
go ahead.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Why?
Why 1?
Yeah, why?
Because I'm not a conversationalist.
You're,
So I need someone else to hype me up.
That's what I was getting
there you go.
at is
Yeah,
you're the
exactly.
introvert.
And I'm okay admitting that.
I don't want to ask that one. Go to the next one. Okay. Who did the pastor have to hold under the water a bit longer when they got baptized? What number? Oh, never mind.
Okay. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Did you say me?
I said you.
I said me too.
See?
It's okay.
We're on the same page.
It's just I know our testimonies. You know, it's okay. Hey, I got baptized though, and I'm
that's all
I'm
that
living my
matters.
life for Jesus. That's what matters.
All right. Who says Father God the most when they're praying?
Does our son count? He doesn't have a stone.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, you said
Oh,
you.
I said me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't feel like I hear
That
you
was-
say that. Okay.
Oh.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
All right, a couple more.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Who would volunteer for the kids ministry just for the free animal crackers and goldfish?
Oh, clearly. 1, 2, 3. Me.
You eat like a child.
I love eating.
I don't eat
All right, hold
animal
on. This is
crackers.
mine.
Yeah,
Get
you
out of
got
here.
it. I'm just gonna pull the next one.
All right. Who follow? This is clearly going to be you, but it's fine.
Okay.
Who follows the most Christian celebrities on social media? Let's just say who's on social media.
You're on social media.
I
Do you
am,
not
but
follow?
I don't follow that many.
Okay, I feel like we should do a follower count check after this. I feel
Go.
like you do follow quite a few.
Let's just do it
no,
right now.
No, never mind. You follow athletes.
Yeah,
I digress.
that's
I
it.
do.
I don't follow that many Christian
Yeah.
celebrities.
All right.
Go ahead.
Final one.
Maybe.
Okay, here we go.
All right, what
No,
do you got?
it is the final one. Okay.
Maybe.
Who doesn't tip more than they tithe? Wow.
All right, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I don't pay. I don't pay. My defense is that I don't pay the bill when we go
So
places.
you don't even know how much to tip.
So well, when I go to a coffee shop, I always hit the middle one, which is 20, right?
I don't know.
See, be generous. Be generous.
Sure.
Yeah.
Last
Anyway.
one.
Okay, go ahead.
We're all emojis.
Oh gosh.
Me and you, we're emojis.
Okay.
Who best personifies this one? This emoji.
That is so rude.
Who personifies that one?
The best?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see your answer. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Neither of us. I can't.
2.
Why do I?
You have to pick.
I'm not picking.
'Cause you're
I don't think
mischievous.
I'm not mischievous.
That's
Oh
what
my
that.
gosh.
That's what I think when I see that.
No, thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate. Mischievous is what you think of.
Yeah.
That's kind. Yep.
Listen, guys, this game, it's fun.
Yeah.
It gets some laughs.
Christianslike.com. You guys should go get some of these games. They have a couple really good ones.
Yes.
But
Very good.
yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. We will see you next time.